to see the fans storming the crowd right now.
Nick Ashew here with the DMV.
Has concluded.
The DMVSTREAM.COM player.
Sean Parker along with Nick Allison.
I always wanted to play volleyball in college.
Cordova trying to dig it out of the board. And they score! Good evening, everybody. I am Sean Parker, and you are in the Prep Zone. Joining me today, Dave Dickerson from Hoop Kids, Nick Allison from the Washington Post. Gentlemen, welcome. We got some new graphics. Doesn't that look nice?
That looks really good.
I'm telling you, that looks sharp. And I'm excited not only because of the graphics, but because of the content of today's show. We've got some exciting things. Of course, our weekend rewind. We've got 4 great games that we're recapping. We've also got our AllMetSports.com weekly fast forward. We've got a couple of great games previewing, including one of the top teams in the area, H.D. Woodson, as well as our Rebel Run Sports recap of the Virginia's top boys and girls players. We also have a sit-down by Darcy Tharp with Dave Owens talking about the DC High School football documentary, We Are DC Football. We've got just a great show today. As always, where you can watch the Prep Zone, DMVSTREAM.COM, Channel 10 Fairfax, and of course on DMVSTREAM.COM on demand. We are going to jump into the weekend rewind, but first, we are going to take a look at the upcoming DMVSTREAM.COM Nova Challenge on April 10th, coming up right after this.
It's the DMVSTREAM.COM Nova Challenge, the 3rd annual installment of Northern Virginia's premier all-star basketball showcase event is expanding. This year's April 10th event will welcome the top seniors from Fairfax, Loudoun, Arlington, Prince William, and the city of Alexandria for an action-packed day. In addition to the 2 all-star games, the area's best public school basketball players will compete in a dunk contest and a 3-point contest. Underclassmen will also have access to a developmental clinic hosted by our friends at Evolution Basketball. Now, not only has this year's event grown from 1 game to 2, but by becoming the title sponsor of this event, DMVSTREAM.COM will be providing you, the viewers and fans, the exceptional, state-of-the-art coverage you've come to expect from us. As the Mid-Atlantic's #1 source for live sports broadcasting, well, DMVSTREAM.COM, we're going to broadcast this year's event live to computers, tablets, mobile devices, and we'll also make the replays available on demand on the internet, as well as our relationships with local cable television access channels. DMVSTREAM.COM produces live broadcasts for professional, semi-pro, and amateur sporting events, as well as colleges, universities, high schools, AAU, and youth tournament organizations throughout the Mid-Atlantic. With a client list that includes ESPN, the Washington Post, Monumental Sports Network, CBSSports.com, USAFootball.com, USLacrosse.org, NCAA.com, the National Federation of High School Sports, Georgetown University, among others, Synthesis Multimedia Productions and DMVSTREAM.COM has emerged as the Mid-Atlantic's top provider of multimedia. Now, the DMVSTREAM.COM Nova Challenge, featuring Nova's premier basketball players on April 10th. You can find out more about that at DMVSTREAM.COM and NovaChallenge.com. We'll see you there.
All right, once again, you are in the Prep Zone. According to this sheet, I'm Jeremy Huber, but no, I'm Sean Parker, along with Dave Dickerson from Hoop Kids, Nick Allison from the Washington Post. I didn't tell anybody I was going to get my producer on that one. But we're going to jump right into the weekend. Nick, you're first up, Osbourn and Stonewall Jackson.
Yes, good Cedar Run battle out in Manassas. It was, this is an interesting one. I got to the game and it was jam-packed. It's a rivalry game between Stonewall and Osbourn, and people were streaming in 30 minutes before the game, but it was, I noticed throughout the first 3 quarters and a little bit more than that, it was one of the quietest gyms I'd ever been in. It seemed like nobody seemed to be into the game, even though it was fairly close, but then things got real about with 3 minutes left in the game when Karan White and Keaton Simmons just started battling, going back and forth, and the crowd absolutely came alive. This was an exciting finish. Karan White had a triple, and Keaton Simmons followed it on the other end with a 3-pointer of his own. Very next play, Karan White nails another 3, then grabs a steal, takes it to the basket, gets fouled, 3-point play. I mean, it was just very frenetic. It was just a game that was sort of sleepy for most of it, and it just kind of boiled up and exploded at the end. So really good one here. Osbourn ended up coming out on top. Keaton Simmons just didn't quite get enough help from everybody else. As you can see here, he was doing it all in the fourth quarter there. Really was kept in check by Osbourn's defense for much of the second half, but stepped up late, just didn't quite have enough help there at the end. So there he is, nailing another three right there. Osbourn just kind of had a barrage of offense there at the end and was able to hold it out at the last minute.
And we see the top performer for Osbourn, Karan
Yeah.
White, the senior guard, 18 points, 4 3-pointers.
Yeah, he really broke out in this game. He had only had one other double-digit game this season where he scored 10 points. He's more of a pass-first kind of guy. He thrives on the assist. So he just kind of, Osbourne's one of those teams where they kind of rely on a different guy every night. They've got 4 players who scored in double figures in this one, and their balance is very evident in their scoring averages. So on this one, Karan White came out with a season-high 18 points, helped Osbourn get the win within the Manassas rivalry. It was a good
So
game.
where do these two teams go from here for the rest of their season?
Well, Osbourn is playing very well. They've won 7 of their last 8 games. Stonewall, not so much. Stonewall started off one of their best starts in school history at 9-1. If they had won one more game, it would have been their best start in school history. Since then, they've been a little bit down. So they really need to step up and start playing well once tournament time comes around. But Osbourn is right there with Battlefield in Conference 8. So it'll be really interesting to see how things play out between those two. I think they're actually playing tonight. That'll be a huge outcome. I think that'll determine the number 1 seed in Conference 8. And but really, it just comes down to next week's tournament. Who's going to be hot, who's not next week. It's
All
down to
right.
that.
Osbourn, 70-68 win over Stonewall Jackson. Next, we're going to go to Dave. O'Connell and Gonzaga. Close game there. O'Connell coming out on top.
Yeah, I can just start out by saying, wow. Okay, the WCAC is white hot this year. You never know what you're going to get in terms of who's going to win. Just when I think that there's a team that's starting to make a run and hot, Gonzaga's fit into that category. DeMatha's fit into that category. Now St. John seems to be that team. This game was interesting because Gonzaga was white hot. They coming off a couple really big wins at DeMatha. Some outstanding play from both their younger players and their older seniors. But this game was such that didn't expect the Bishop O'Connell. Hats off to Joey Wooten over there, the great job with this team because they started off very slow. They got Gonzaga 69-65. Nate Watson, who's the 6'8" junior, who transferred over from Clinton Christian, had his biggest game. 26 points, 17 rebounds. He was able to really handle the load down on the blocks. Gonzaga had no answers for him. Big game for him. The senior point guard and the Rice University commit, Ako Adams, didn't score a lot. Just had 6 points, but he is a floor general and did a great job for them. Matt Lewis added another 9 points. So despite this close loss, because it was a nick and tuck type of game, Gonzaga got 26-point performance from the Dynamo junior point guard Chris Likes, and I'm gonna go on the record and say Chris is so my post guys can hear this. Chris is my really right now my candidate for Player of the Year. And that's including guys like Markel Fulks that are around, Anthony Cowens, who is right in that package as well. The sophomore Miles Dredd, 6'6" kid, added 14 for the Purple Eagles of Gonzaga, and then they got 9 points from Prentice Hub, who has turned into quite a recruiter junior. Got a Maryland offer and some other big schools as well, and then 8 points from junior wing player Eddie Scott. Now, with this being a huge win for O'Connell, and what we know is I think the toughest league in the country, the Knights are showing those flashes that they're going to need here in a couple weeks for the WCA tournament. They're getting a lot of in the way of contributions from the sophomore DeMarco Balcom, and they have a freshman, Sharif Kenny, and most people around these parts kind of know who he is. I mean, he terrorized in middle school. Really, really good player. So it's going to be interesting. Gonzaga's been playing particularly well. They had recent wins over DeMatha. And the goal in that league, in the WCAC, is really to kind of be in the top 4 at the end of the mix. But last night's loss to Paul VI, which I'm sure you guys will be able to talk about a little bit next week, kind of puts that in risk for them to be in that top 4.
So with both of these teams going forward, stock up or stock down for O'Connell first?
Wow. They're going to have to stock up. They're going to have to stock up. Gonzaga, DeMatha, right there. There's going to be a situation where we really don't know. I was at the DeMatha St. John's game last night, and St. John's, this was at DeMatha, and St. John's controlled it from start to finish. So never a dull moment in the WCAC.
All right, so it looks like we got some wide open action there. O'Connell with the 69-65 win. Half down, 2 to go. When we come back, we will go over Episcopal, Georgetown Prep, and Gwynn Park Central. But first, we are going to talk about DMVSTREAM.COM's new partnership with the newly formed Lacrosse Sports Network, a 24-hour network dedicated to the sport of lacrosse. Let's take a look.
What's up, lacrosse fans? I'm excited to announce our new partnership with LacSportsNetwork.com, a 24-hour digital media network dedicated to covering the game of lacrosse, delivering thousands of hours of original programming, including live professional, collegiate, and amateur games. Now, those of you that already know about Synthesis Multimedia Productions and our platform at DMVStream.com, you know that our group has become the Mid-Atlantic's dominant force in providing live streaming of pro, college, and local high school sports. Now, in this new partnership with LacSportsNetwork.com, we'll be bringing you, the viewers, unprecedented live coverage of the Mid-Atlantic's most notable high school lacrosse programs, with matchups that include teams like Gonzaga, Georgetown Prep, Landon, Loyola Blakefield, McDonough, Boys Latin, Hill Academy, St. Paul's School, Culver, New Canaan, St. Stephen's St. Agnes, Collegiate School, and the Washington Catholic Athletic Conference Championship live from the University of Maryland. Now, in this series of 10 games, starting in early March, you can watch the best matchups live in HD with the state-of-the-art broadcast technology you've come to expect from us at Synthesis Multimedia Productions and DMVStream.com. Broadcasts will include a minimum of 5 HD camera angles, graphics, instant replay, live clock, live scoring, up-to-the-minute stats, and a 15-person crew, including directors, producers, camera operators, play-by-play color, and sideline reporters, all dedicated to creating a television-style broadcast experience that you can watch live right in the palm of your hand. To find out more about this project, go to LacSportsNetwork.com and start watching lacrosse right now.
Hello everybody, Jackie Sagar here to unveil the DMVStream.com Play of the Week, which comes from Reston, Virginia. With the Madison Warhawks down to the South Lake Seahawks with 0.9 seconds left, Johnny Korish inbounds the cross-court pass to Brett Weldy, and Weldy drains the game-winning 3 at the buzzer to send the Warhawks off with a thrilling 51-50 win. If you want to see your Play of the Week on our show, be sure to tweet us at DMVStream.
Welcome back to the Prep Zone. Sean Parker, Dave Dickerson, Nick Eilerson. Jumping back into our weekly rewind. Our third game, Episcopal, Georgetown Prep. Nick,
Yeah.
Episcopal with a 10-point win.
Yeah, we talked about WCAC plenty, as we always do, and as we always should. But another exciting conference this year, the Interstate Athletic Conference, is really interesting right now. We got 4 teams competing for that top spot in the IAC, and it's really coming down to the wire. Episcopal and Georgetown Prep are 2 of those teams. They went to battle last Friday, and for the second time this season, Episcopal came out on top. 3 days earlier, Episcopal had avenged their loss to St. Stephen's St. Agnes, so it was a great week for them. They really have a lot of momentum coming into this final stretch here. This one, you know, Nick Reed really went off. He's a great shooter. He's got an interesting shot, actually. He's kind of a little push shot. He does a great shot. Well, that's George right there. But yeah, Nick's got the game I saw him play. I think he had 5 trays, so I can't really give him any. There he is, right there. I can't give him any grief. But right when he first shot his first attempt, I was like, what is he doing? But man, he can shoot from anywhere. It doesn't matter. He has no filter, and he went off for 25 points in this one.
And 11 for 15 for
Did a
the
pretty
line.
good job at the free throw line. So, yeah, this is a good win for the Maroon, and they beat St. Albans last night. Oh, actually, I forgot to mention that their 6-game win streak was snapped by Bullis, so that's another thing. Bullis is playing very well right now. So, between those 3 teams and St. Stephen's, St. Agnes, it's just a really hot, tight race in the IAC right now.
All right, so Episcopal with the 82-72 win. We are now going to slide over to Prince George's County. Dave, Gwynn Park and Central, tight game there.
Absolutely, 79-75 Gwynn Park. Top performers in the game, Aaron Parker, senior guard, had his best game of the season, 28.6 rebounds and 6 points. Marlon White added 15, and Isaiah Miles, who's a player that everybody kind of knows about in Prince George's County, added 14 points and 10 rebounds. Central got a great performance and some balanced scoring out of their group. Giovanni Brown, 17, DeQuan Simmons, and Trent Dixon added 16 apiece. The stat line for this one, the difference was at the foul line. Gwynn Park was 21 for 32, Central was 14 for 20. They kind of said it all. Gwynn Park got to the line and delivered. Now, Gwynn Park has handled every challenge they've had this year, undefeated, 16-0 in that 2-3 A conference, but they are right in there with Largo, Douglas, and Central, all very good this year. Well-coached team. Mike Glick does a great job down there. And Parker, our key player here, is a very good football player as well. As many of you know, he really stepped up. This was a big game for him. So look for Gwynn Park really to be an Infinity Center. I look to see them competing for the state championship.
All right, so there you have it. Prince George's County looking strong this year. We are going to step away for a break. We're going to come back with the allmetsports.com weekly fast forward. But before we do, earlier today, our own Darcy Tharp had a chance to sit down with Dave Owens to discuss his DC high school football documentary called We Are DC. Take a look.
Welcome to the PrepZone at DMVSTREAM.com. I'm Darcy Tharp, and I'm joined here today by Dave Owens.
Thank you.
A Naval Academy graduate who served in the Navy for 6 years before continuing on to have an excellent career in sports journalism. Dave then came to DC, where he worked as a sports correspondent for WUSA 9 for about 7 years. And as a professor of journalism at the University of Maryland, Dave is also a freelance broadcaster and has written and produced a documentary entitled We Are DC, Football in the District.
Yeah.
Dave, thank you so much for being here today.
Darcy, it's a pleasure to be here alongside you, and like you say in that intro, it's been an interesting run, no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Sounds like it. Well, if we want to give us a brief description about what the documentary is about.
Yeah, I mean, We Are DC is as it says, We Are DC, and it's really, more than just a football story. I mean, it's a documentary of all things DC, focusing on traditional, public schools in the district. But as I say, it's really more than just a football story. To me, Darcy, football has always been communal. I mean, and what I mean by that is, you go to a game and it's not just, boys and girls playing football. I mean, you've got families out there, you've got friends, you've got coaches, you've got players, you've got former players on a Friday night, on a Saturday afternoon. I mean, it really is a community type thing. And so wherever you go, and I thought DC was pretty unique because it's relatively a small area, 50 or 60 square miles. And yet it's got a lot of, small subsets to it, the Shaw neighborhood, Uptown, Midtown, Anacostia, and things of that nature. So when you look at DC, you've had a lot of great players. I mean, Vernon Davis was just in the Super Bowl. Cato June was in the Super Bowl for Indianapolis a couple of years ago. Great coaches. Lily Stewart, Bob Hedden, Sal Hall. Those names resonate for a lot of people in this area. You've had great programs. Dunbar, the great Crimson Tide. Again, Anacostia, H.D. Woodson, Coolidge, Roosevelt. And so I think the common thread, the common fiber for all of them is community and the passion and the pride that those communities have. And so that's what I tried to capture in the documentary.
And welcome back to the Prep Zone. Just remember, you can watch the rest of Darcy's interview with Dave Owens on DMVSTREAM.COM. All right, we're going to jump into our allmensports.com weekly fast forward. We've got 2 games we're previewing. The first game, Lake Braddock and West Springfield. Nick.
Yep. Jumping into Conference 7, 2 rivals, again, located right down the road, kind of that battle for Braddock Road here. This is a conference that West Springfield has absolutely dominated all season, so this really doesn't have a lot of significance, to be honest, but Lake Braddock really wants this one just to get a feel-good win. I think that a lot of people probably don't even think they have a chance, but they're at home. And Lake Braddock is a very good team if they're firing on all cylinders, which they just have not been able to do the last 3 or 4 weeks. So it's kind of like Stonewall. They started off the season really strong, but they've just been tanking. Not tanking, that's harsh, but they have not played well the past few weeks. And a lot of that is guard play. The guard play just hasn't been there for much of the season. They're a bit young at that, in that area of the court. James Butler's kind of their whole one-man show. He's averaging 26.5 points a game, 12.5 boards a game, easy double-double every night, but he just can't do it all by himself. So the guards really need to start making some more shots from outside. I want to see Corey Pelham. He's got a great stroke. He needs to turn it on for the playoffs. We'll see if he can or not. And if they can come together, beat West Springfield, that kind of flips the tables a little bit in Conference 7 going into next week's tournament.
Well, talk to us a little bit about West Springfield's player to watch, Lewis Jonkum. Yeah,
Lewis Jonkum's a beast, 6'9". He's a load to handle, so it's going to be great to see him go up against James Butler. That's a fun one to watch, that battle underneath. But he's a good private school transfer. I believe he came from O'Connell. Last year was his first season with West Springfield. So he's been very good for them, but they've got another big man inside in Brock Vaughn. They've got a little bit more balance in the front court than Lake Braddock does. So between those 2 underneath, and then you've got guys on the perimeter stepping up. Spencer Askew has really filled in nicely for an injured Riley Welch at the point guard position. So West Springfield is just looking like a nice, well-balanced team this season.
All right.
Yeah,
so
just
who's your pick in this game?
I got to go with West Springfield. I'll go chalk in this one, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Lake Braddock pull off the upset.
Dave,
West Springfield. West Springfield. I got a chance to see him a little earlier this year, and also seen some film work on him. I don't see anybody in 7 that really can compete.
All right, and we're going to make that a clean sweep. I'm going with West Springfield as well. Let's go to our, actually we're going to take a brief break before we go to our second game, and we're going to take a look at Darcy Tharp catching up with the guys from Rebel Run Sports to discuss some of Northern Virginia's top boys and girls basketball players.
Welcome to the Prep Zone at DMVSTREAM.COM. I'm Darcy Tharp, and I'm joined here today by John Moore and Rob Giampapa from Rebel Run Sports and Entertainment. How are you guys doing today?
Doing well, you?
Doing very well, thank you. They are here to tell us the top guys and girls public high school basketball players in Northern Virginia. Let's start with the guys, John.
All right, so we're back at Westfields, which I call Championship High School. Seems like we're always talking about them. They're at 15-2. Coach Doug Ewell has, just loaded with talent. We already know about Tyler Scanlon and Blake Francis. Now you're mixing in Corey Jones, a 6'2 senior swingman, and Hank Johnson, 6'5 senior forward, and they're just looking dominant right now. So we all knew it would start off. They're 1-2 in the beginning. Football players come back after winning a state championship. Now they've run off 12 straight games, so they're looking pretty good. Next team is going to be West Springfield. They're a little bit of a surprise. They're 17-1. Coach Marshall's got them playing at an elite level. Big guy, Lewis Jonkum, 6'9", averaging 14 points per game. He's one just worth checking out. They just come off the wins of T.C. Williams and Mount Vernon and Annandale. So they've run off 10 straight games as well. So 2 good teams, loaded with talent. It'll be fun to watch in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk a little bit about Loudoun Valley. I just went out and saw them last night. They're 20-0 now. They're on a roll. They have Jordan Miller leads the team with 16 points a game, Nick Ball with 14 points, and they also have Jalen Williams who throws in 10 points a game. Best part about them is they're all underclassmen. Jordan Miller's a junior, Nick Ball's a junior. Jalen Williams is a sophomore. Jordan Miller's a sophomore. The other night they had a kid, Dominic Peterson, who's a sophomore, dropped in 16, put in 18 a game before against Woodgrove. So they're good. You better beat them now because you're not going to be able to next year or the year after.
You are back in the Prep Zone weekly fast forward. We go to our second game preview. We've got H.D. Woodson, undefeated, and Theodore Roosevelt. Dave.
Yes, this is ultimately the championship game. The best in the DCIA. This is the best in the East against the best in the West, with the exception that H.D. Woodson at 26-0 has just blazed through their whole schedule. And they won relatively easy each time. They're very long and athletic, balanced scoring and contributions from Daquan Washington, Keon Boyd, Kayvon Montgomery, and Tamonte Chavlis. I think I got that pronunciation right. But at the same time, Roosevelt, very, very good. Rob Nickens always does a great job with this program. They've got 2 losses this year, only 2 losses. One of them was local. And that was to Thurgood Marshall. It was a highly contested game. And they're led by Brandon Howell and Donald Brewer. My prediction, H.D. Woodson. They've run the tables this year. I got a chance to see them twice earlier. Very good, very long team. They present problems for other squads.
All right, so H.D. Woodson. Nick.
Yeah, I'm going to go chalk. I'm going to go H.D. Woodson, too. Yeah, like you said, they're blazing through everybody. I don't see it stopping right now. It'll be a good game, though.
And sometimes you just have a chalky day. I'm going with H.D. Woodson as well. 2 game previews, 2 clean sweeps. And gentlemen, that's it for the Prep Zone. Man, it's just we're gonna stick here one quick second. We're gonna go with the top rankings, top 10 rankings. Of course, we got DeMatha on top, St. John's. Number 2, H.D. Woodson, 3rd. National Christian, 4th. Westfield, rounding out the top 5. Any of those teams in the top 5 or in the top 10 stand out to you, gentlemen? Start with Nick.
All of them. I mean, St. John's is looking unbeatable right now. That's my team to watch out for. I'd be really surprised if they lose anytime soon. But I like to see Westfield in there too. Look at the Virginia Public Schools getting the school in there. But hey, they've almost gone undefeated too, so they deserve to be in there too.
Dave, one of these teams.
Well, I'll tell you, that ranking is going to change here very quickly because DeMatha did lose last night. Gonzaga lost last night. St. John's has been extremely hot, but that could change in that league. I really like what Trevor Brown's done over at National Christian this year. They are loaded for bear. They play very hard. Probably the best team I've seen this year making in-game adjustments. Whatever they're presented with, they find a solution for.
All right, and being a PG County boy, I'm going with the PG County teams. I'm going with Gwynn Park and Roosevelt. Take a look at them. Gwynn Park undefeated. Right. Roosevelt, very strong showing this year. That is it for the Prep Zone. I'm Sean Parker along with Dave Dickerson, Nick Eilerson. We want to thank the staff very much. Special shout outs to Darcy Tharp and to Jackie Sager for their interviews. You are now out of the Prep Zone. We'll see you next time.